We will have the public health Stuttgart getting some replacement.
Wasn't done this year.
Hand in front of you.
They're walking the pieces over.
That's right.
Based on the 504.
The woodland.
All right, yeah, I have some.
Start with that.
Okay, cool.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to be beginning in just a moment here. Mr. Martinez, Mr. Fenders, if one of you would begin the webinar, please. Take us out of the practice session. Okay, thank you. We'll just give one moment for anybody who is joining us remotely to log into the meeting. For board members, as we have with the past couple of meetings, please remember your microphones are turned off when you are ready to speak. If you could just please turn them on. Speak closely to the mic. That helps greatly with the sound in the room as well as with the recording and live streaming. Mr. Martinez, do we have some people logging in remotely?
Let's see, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Kizmarski, we're ready to begin.
Okay, thank you very much. This meeting of the Mahwah Board of Education is open to members of the public to be physically present. Members of the public that attend will be asked to follow the same procedures as all visitors to our schools. Those procedures can be found on the agenda page of our website. Additionally, the board meeting will be live streamed for viewing purposes only. Anyone wishing to view the meeting may do so via Zoom. The webinar ID for this meeting is 868-3424-2358. And the required password is 752674. Roll call, Mr. Bleeker.
Ms. Conoco,
Here.
Dr. Morthy,
Here.
Dr. Park,
Here.
Ms. Sagone,
Here.
Mr. Copeland,
Here?
Mr. De Silva, Mr. Denise,
Here.
Mr. Gallo,
Here.
and Mr. Kizmarski.
Here. Adequate notice of agenda of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Record, specifying that the Mahwah Board of Education will meet on September 22nd, 2021, in the administrative office at 60 Ridge Road, Mahwah, New Jersey. A copy was filed with the township clerk. Will you please rise for a salute to the flag? Mr. Copeland, will you please do that?
Sure. My pleasure.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I please get a motion to go out of order and move executive close to the end of the meeting? Dr. Morrissey, second by Ms. Sagone. I don't know if you need a roll call on that, or?
We do not. We have an executive session also scheduled at the end.
Perfect.
So we'll just.
All right then. Number 7, agenda questions. Please limit your questions at this time to resolutions under new business on this agenda. As a matter of fairness, you are asked to limit your questions to no more than 1, and your remarks to no longer than 3 minutes. If you are here representing a group, please identify yourself, the group, and your position in the group. If you are here as an individual, please give us your name and address. This section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes. Please specify the resolution you are referring to in your question. Can I please have a motion to open the meeting to the public? Ms. Conoco, seconded by Mr. Copeland. We are now open the public for agenda questions. Okay, seeing none, can I please get a motion to close the meeting? Ms. Conoco, seconded by Dr. Morthy. Dr. Totora, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. It brings us great sadness for the first part of the report. Mahwah lost 2 graduates this week. The Mahwah community is truly saddened by the tragic loss of Eric Eidner, class of 2019. Also, Chris Rasmussen, who was a member of class of 2003. Christopher's mother, Teresa Rasmussen, served on the board for a number of years. The Eidner and Rasmussen families will remain in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. So I'm just going to ask for a moment of silence out of respect to the families. Thank you. I promise the rest is going to be nothing but positive and uplifting and food for our soul. I'm happy to report that we are finally back to school. All the preparation and all of the things that we had to do procedurally have now come to fruition, and it was absolutely fantastic to see the staff and see the students back up and running. We were able to go to each building and take part in arrival and dismissal. We've been through the classrooms and recess, and the energy in the schools is absolutely tremendous. To see the students get out of the car with a big smile on their face, excited to see the teachers welcoming them at arrival and saying goodbye at dismissal with such genuine love and respect is what we're here for, and something that I truly needed to see and really eat up each and every day. When you go to arrival, whether it's at Betsy Ross that you have Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Bregman singing happy birthday to students as they get out of the car, or arrival at JK that you have Ms. Scuderi or Ms. Dashes at arrival or dismissal saying hello or goodbye. And we're up at Roundpoe Ridge that you see the whole team welcoming the middle schoolers who are still sleeping when they get out of their car and welcoming them with a big hello. It's something that truly means that we're back, and that's what we're all about. To see the students playing outside at recess, even though they're high school students, they're not too cool to play at recess. They're back in the field over here playing soccer and truly enjoying each other's company. That's what we really need to see, and that's what we're trying to return back to, so I'm glad to see that as well. In the classrooms, so we're walking by the classrooms and we see the teachers working with students on team building activities to create that culture that we need to educate them long term. That's what's happening right now in the classrooms. And to see the students walking up and down the hallways with big smiles on their face when they see their friends turning the corner of the hallway, yet again is another example of why we're excited that everyone's back and are back full day. And last but not least, sitting across from each other at lunch and enjoying a meal and socializing, not only in school but outside of school, is great to see. So thank you for everyone, administration, the central office, building administration, and teachers who prepared for this. It's been a tremendous success, and we can't thank everyone enough. Another point of excitement has been back to school night. I know people say, well, why is that exciting? What I can tell you is to see the community back in our schools is such a wonderful feeling. We've had all of our elementary back to school nights thus far. Last night were the last group of our elementaries, our K-3s had them last night. And to see the teachers engage with the parents in person just has a different feel than doing it on Zoom. I have to be honest, and to see the parents excited to go see what's happening in the classrooms and the teachers being excited to welcome them and talk about all the great things that are happening is great to see. The last thing I want to talk about before I go into the goals is the Mahwah Schools Foundation is taking part or running a 5K and also a kids run. It is on October 24th, I believe. There was an email that was sent out for registration. I ask everyone to get the word out. The Mahwah Schools Foundation is constantly supporting our schools with so many different grants and other activities to bring us together as a community. So it's my hope that everyone gets out, they participate in some capacity, whether it's running, whether it's walking. There's challenges that are out to each and every school. I love a good challenge. For staff participation and student participation, Dr. Fair and I will be running in the event. I don't know how great that's going to look like, but I'm going to do my best. Oh,
I'm coming.
really?
We're
Really?
ready.
October 24th, mark your calendar.
It's down.
So that's, there's just a couple things that I wanted to share with you along the lines of being back to school and returning to a sense of normalcy. That being said, this is something that we are very happy and proud to present to the board and the community. This is a result of a lot of planning, a lot of collaboration with our community members over the past couple of years. There are going to be two parts to this presentation. The first part is going to be the board goals that were created at our retreat last month. Then we have our district goals, which I'll talk in more detail. I want to just remind everyone that these are all grounded in our strategic plan. As a reminder, our strategic plan is a 5-year plan that we created from community feedback and work from within our district to identify what are our priorities and where do we want to go as a district over the next 5 years. So it is our commitment and it's our focus to make sure that this is relevant, that this is embedded in everything that we do, and it's my hope that you'll see the product today in the designing of these goals.
Okay, great. As I talked about it's been 2 meetings ago at this point, late July, the board met over at the Sheraton in a room. It was an open public meeting, but no one came, but it was important for us to meet as a board, as we really haven't, not we, I mean, in the past boards, haven't really sat down to create true goals amongst themselves. You know, they've thrown up ideas, they've thrown things, but from a Board of Education standpoint, it differs from the district goals in that, you know, it's more for the function of the board, and how we want the board to function, how we want the board to look, how we want the board to communicate with one another. And it was, I forget how many hours we were there, it was a while, but it was a really productive meeting where we led by Matt Lee from school board, the State School Board Association, and he walked us, he took us through the paces, and kind of like took out of us what we really, where we wanted to see the 2021-22 school year goals. So from a board perspective, which again, Dr. DeTore will speak to the district goals, but the board goals, there were several. And I'll just read them off, just so everyone even from home can hear and see here. In order to ensure transparency and awareness across all members of the Board of Education, the Mahwah Board of Education is committed to improving intra-board communication. To that end, the board will create protocols that will allow all committees to communicate, work, progress, and plan to the rest of the board. A lot of times what happens is we're only permitted to have 4 people on a committee, because we can't create a public meeting if we have a 5th. So we'll have a finance and facilities meeting, we'll have instructional curriculum meeting, we'll have a policy meeting. And a lot of times what happens is different people are on those, so you know the communication is kind of interpersonal, but it doesn't always go from committee to board as a whole. And a lot of decisions get made at these meetings, and sometimes, you know, we were finding that not all board members were hearing everything that was happening. So it's better, what we've already instituted, and we've seen in the past couple meetings, and Dr. Morthy has a report even tonight from instructional and curriculum that was shared today with the board and will be shared here as well. So it's a matter of taking minutes. It's a matter, it's more of it's transparency amongst each other. It's transparency to the community. And it really helps us just be all on the same page and rowing in the same direction. The next is the Mahwah Board of Education is committed to ensuring that policies and regulations are up to date with current practice and protocols needed to effectively run a school district. The Mahwah Board of Education will review and update board bylaws as if needed, and review and update policy series 6000 and series 9000. Several years ago, Mr. De Silva started the process, I think, and really started digging into the policies and procedures of the district. Some of them were either outdated or the language was no longer applicable. Either that or with regards to either our working policies and procedures in the district or state law. So we started the process of going through literally every policy. It's a painstaking effort. There are thousands of them, and during COVID, obviously, you know, we kind of got off track a little bit. So now we're recommitting ourselves to hitting 6,000 and 9,000, and John Denise is the chair of that, and you'll hear some tonight as well. Some changes. So I know they're getting to work on that, and it's exciting. The bylaws. We talked about the bylaws of the board. Basically, how meetings are run. The makeup of the board in terms of the committees, the types of committees, and the types of committees are everything from instructional to finance and facilities to technology. As board members, I think we're all going to take some time to take a look at each one, make sure it's still relevant, make sure we don't have to add any, combine some in. I mean, technology at this point can kind of be combined into finance and facilities or instructional curriculum, just the way it's used. So it's no longer we need to buy, you know, whiteboards and we need to buy laptops. It's how it integrates into the curriculum or into the facilities. So we're going to look at all of those. We'll look at all the bylaws, and again, it's some of it needs some freshening up to modern times. Hasn't been looked at in a while, and that's the goal for the year. And lastly, in our district's commitment to be up to date on best practices and operational procedures and bylaws, the Mahwah Board of Education will review and update board bylaws as needed. I just talked about that. So got ahead of myself. This is all you.
This is. So, as Mr. Kosmarski said, along the lines of rowing in the same direction, we felt it was extremely important, as we said in a number of meetings, but it's worth repeating, is that the goal setting in our district prior to our strategic plan obviously was focused on success within the schools. But where we felt that there was a disconnect was that common thread of we're all rowing in the same direction. So we felt as though the strategic plan is our grounding force to allow us to continue to move in the right direction, really attain those goals, and achieve those goals that have been set forth by either the community or our district itself. So looking up here, I'll summarize the three that are up there. I'll start with facilities. Facilities is an ongoing commitment that we have to our community to ensure that we have a high level of facilities and operations of the facilities and what we're offering to our students. I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, there was a company that came in, Land Facility Associates, that audited our entire district, all of our buildings. And within that audit, they prioritized our areas of focus. We're committed this year to take a look at that audit and really start to look at long-term planning of what is of immediacy and what are some things that we need to take a couple years to really chop away at. Things like our roofs, things like our HVACs in the schools that have window units. There are a number of things, big picture-wise, that we're looking at, but it doesn't just stay there with our facilities focus. At the building level, we've charged our administrators to take a look at all of the different spaces in our buildings and make sure that we're maximizing all, and we're looking for unique opportunities to create innovative spaces in our schools. You can't talk the talk and really not walk the walk. We're talking about creating innovative learning experiences. We're asking our teachers to stretch and do things that are outside of their comfort zone, which they're doing, which we're very grateful for. We need to create facilities that support that work. Things like the Cube, which obviously on that scale, that's a whole different conversation, the T3 building. We also have the Innovation Lab that's coming soon at JK. But we also can look at the K3s, that you look at the STEAM classrooms and the STEAM labs at the K3s. You see the outdoor classrooms at the K3s. Mr. Corey and his team are looking at the Roundport Ridge facilities to see what opportunities they have there to create innovative spaces. So this is an ongoing focus that we have. It's not just the structural piece of it, there's also the inner workings that affect students in the learning experience as well. Number 2, our community connections. This was something, when you really look at the strategic plan meetings and what was a common thread and something that was echoed from table to table to table, was the need and the want and the interest of stepping outside of our schools and opening our doors to community connections. And those community connections can really range from connecting with big businesses to bringing in experts from within our community. I know Dr. Ravino and her team, as well as Dr. Fair, they've been working together to create the Thunderbird Partnership, which Dr. Ravino will be presenting at a future meeting. And really to distill it down, it's our want to bring our community in to connect with our students to create those real world connections. Bring that learning to life and make them understand this is what it looks like, sounds like, and feels like outside in our community after you learn it in this classroom. So that's something that is a major project of ours. It's going to be a multi-year focus. We are building it this year. It is our hope that we are going to be bringing in community members and connecting with community organizations to create those, whether it's a small experience of coming in for a day and speaking about it, because that also reaps major benefits, or the larger experience of creating internships and externships for our students. That's something that our administrative team spoke about at length before the end of last year, that have been working on in the summer of this year, and they have connected it to their building goals at each and every building. So it's something that we're truly committed to. And last but certainly not least, is really the product of all the things I was talking about is really the curriculum, that learning experience that's happening in the classroom. Our commitment, and something that is already in place in a number of classrooms, is something that we want to create a systemic approach to, is creating that problem-based learning experience and those real-world connections to our curriculum. It's not just about coverage, it's about the experience of the learning as well. And we're happy that we have experts in the building. It's something that we want to continue to provide professional development for those who are still learning about it, because we want to make sure that we're supporting teachers at all levels. But we feel as though the value of creating these problem-based learning experiences and real-world connections of our curriculum is something that's going to bring a significant value to the learning experiences of all of our students, pre-K through 12. So there's no grade specific level to this. It really covers all of our grades. So, as I said before, these are all grounded in our strategic plan. From these district goals, we've then distilled them down to our building goals then to our administrative goals, and then the teachers' PDP at the school level, you'll see some of these that are housed there. I'm not saying all of them, obviously facilities is outside of their domain, but things like the curriculum piece is something that's going to be relevant in every single school. Another piece that we felt in, before I close here, something that we felt is extremely important is the reporting mechanism that we have. I feel as though something like this, the most appropriate way for us to do it is to take some time during the January and February board meeting to really give you a state of the district along the lines of our acquisition of these goals. All right? That is it for the goals. Mr. Kozmarski, if I may, if I can move what's under your president's report, which is the graduation results, if we can move it to now. Dr. Bovino, it's a very quick presentation, but it's something that is important and something we're obligated by the state to present to our community. Dr. Bovino?
Good evening, everybody. So as Dr. DeToro was saying, it is a regulation for New Jersey that we report their graduation statistics from the year prior to the beginning of October, for all, to the board for all districts in New Jersey. So if you look last year, we had 237 students in our senior class. All 237 students met requirements for graduation. If you look underneath, it talks about passing using a different type of test. So all 237 students, their first pathway to assessment is using the NJSLA or the PARCC assessment, depending on which year you're in and where you took it. If you did not pass those, you have an option to take other tests, such as the ACT, the SAT, the PSAT, and there's the AccuPacer, and right? So there are different options for you if you did not pass that initial pathway assessment. On top of that, if you did not pass the second pathway assessment, which are those items that I just listed, there is a portfolio option. We did not have any students go to a portfolio option last year. We had all of them either pass at pathway 1 or pathway 2. We did have 4 students that used the DLM, which is the dynamic learning map, and these students would have had a curriculum that would not have touched upon the basic standards for that grade level. So they would be offered another option, and that's called the dynamic learning map. And then at the bottom, you can see if anybody didn't meet that requirement, which we had 0. So this is a great slide to present. It's pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Bleeker, do you have a report?
Good evening. No report tonight other than to say repeat much of what Dr. DeToro said. Thank you to everybody who worked behind the scenes all year long, all summer long this past summer to get us ready for our opening this year. The achievements and the success of the students who are here back in the district, and the smiling faces on them. So once again, thank you to everybody who participated: technology, buildings and grounds, custodians, transportation, cafeteria, child side team, business office, everyone. Thank you very much for all your work.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Farron.
Yes, brief report. I just want to highlight a few things. The first piece is related to Dr. Toro sharing about community connections. I just wanted to highlight the Thunderbird Partnership Program, which was once the expert directory that is now transformed into the Thunderbird Partnership Program. Dr. Bovino sent out this notice on September 13th to the community. This is just a reminder and some promotion that we would like people to sign up to share expertise. My office, as well as the Curriculum and Instruction Office, will be in touch with those people who have volunteered their time to establish relationships, maintain those relationships. and keep it going. And our offices are going to be working with our administrative team, working with our teacher teams, to utilize our community as classroom resources. So that's just something that we'll be pushing and advertising heavily this year. The second piece is agenda item 18X. So we have Rebecca Scalia, who, similar to Lisa LaMontagne, who we highlighted at our last meeting, Ms. Lisa Rizzo and I approached these two instructional paraprofessionals, and we approached them with the idea of working towards their CDL license to essentially work as paraprofessionals in the classroom and then assist in bringing classroom content to light by going out into the community, working on life skills and other pieces related to the curriculum. What I failed to mention when I spoke of Lisa LaMontagne in reflection right now is in speaking to Rebecca Scalia, because this is an asterisk on the agenda because Rebecca just recently passed the exam on Monday. So she was really excited, and she explained the intricacies of the testing. So I acted at the last board meeting as if Lisa LaMontagne's success was a simple hurdle, and it certainly was not. So there is not only a knowledge exam that needs to be passed, there's a road skills examination that needs to be passed before getting on the road. There's a pre-trip inspection where people working towards their CDL have to know all the innards of the vehicle, as well as passing, obviously, the driving test. So Rebecca Scalia was successful in that endeavor. We really appreciate her efforts, again, as well as Lisa LaMontagne. What's great is we have Rebecca Scalia over at the middle school to work with our self-contained program there, and we also have Lisa LaMontagne at the high school to work with those students in that program. So we're really proud of them. They're really proud of themselves, which is really awesome. So we thank them for their commitment. We also thank the board's support in this effort. This was us being creative, and I think it's going to yield dividends for those students. So thank you again.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, just a couple quick things. I too want to send my deepest condolences to the Rasmussen and Eidner families. It was tragic what has occurred. I was on a Zoom council meeting with our, not just days before he passed. So it's, it was just a shock. And it was really sad because he had a lot going for him and was heading in such a great direction. So. In happier news, I'm happy to announce we have a National Merit Scholarship. We have a National Merit Scholarship semi-finalist in the high school, Ishita Jain. Very excited for her, and I look forward to hopefully at some point in the future talking about how she's a finalist.
We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just, and then I just want to welcome, look, we haven't been here since the first, so I just wanted to welcome everyone back and was happy to see everyone back in school. My two girls are, I'm happy to see them back. They're excited to be back with their friends full time. Great to see the sports being played. The band looks great out on the field. And everything seems to be going very well. We've heard, very good things about what's going on. Obviously, we're still under a mask mandate. And that continues, and I look forward to the day where that goes away. In other news, this Saturday, I look forward to seeing everyone here on the field for Mahwah Day. It's a great time for the Mahwah community to come together and celebrate with one another. The greatest town around. So that is my report. Thank you very much. Board committee reports. Dr. Morthy, you have one.
Well, since you set that up for me, thank you. Mr. Kizmarski, can you hear in the back? Is it good? Yeah. I'm generally quite loud, people tell me. So, all right, so instruction and curriculum, we met on September 15th, and we had a very productive meeting. One of the topics that was covered is, I think was already addressed by Dr. Fair quite well, the Thunderbird Partnership Program. I would just encourage anyone, parents, in the community to really participate, because this is only going to benefit your own kids as well down the line. And I think you can participate on an individual school level and on a district-wide level. So you have options in that. So look for that information and join us in that. I also want to highlight a very interesting program that is going on K to 5 this year, the Instructional Coach Program. We have Dana Marciani, who is going to be doing ELA, and we have Jennifer Hogan doing math. This is a really very innovative program related to our curriculum district goal, so it fits in really nicely. It's a non-evaluative approach to impacting student achievement in the classroom. So basically this is a way to get mentoring, I liked kind of one of the things that came up, it said it's professional development, but that's sort of their kind of, at will, when you need it, as you need it. It's not like, okay, we're gonna go to professional development and then I gotta remember to do that. This is gonna be very hands-on, very much a hands-on approach. And it seemed like they're very excited about this. Both Miss Marciani and Miss Hogan, Mrs. Hogan, both of them seem very excited about this. They did presentations in the schools, they had cookies with the coaches. So the role of the coach, just to kind of put it in some perspective, to support teachers in a non-evaluative manner, to focus on student learning and growth, to do some demo of lessons and teaching strategies, and do some research and see what the district needs. Collect and analyze data, and again, all day on-site professional development is needed. So very exciting. This is going to be K through 5 and a great program. Every teacher, again, tenured, non-tenured, will receive coaching. So this is, for all the teachers K through 5 in our district. The other thing I'm just going to highlight under new business item I, there had to be an addendum for the plan for safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of service. This is just if we had to go back virtual, if we had to go back for remote instruction, the state requires certain plans to be in place. And the other piece with that is food services. So that was just an addendum to that. Talked about the Parent Academy. Thank you to all who attended September 14th. It was Save Your Breath, and it was talking about vaping. We had a police officer who presented, and the next one will be sometime in October, focused on social emotional learning and mindfulness. Date to be determined. And that's it. Welcome back to all these students and staff, and wishing all a successful year. Thank you.
Thank you, Prima.
Thank you very much. Anyone else with board committee reports? Mr. Calloway.
My report simply echoes what Dr. DeToro was talking about in terms of our overall facility goals for the district. The Finance and Facilities Committee under Kyle has coordinated a schedule of meetings that will be held at all of our schools starting on 9/29 and extending through 12/15. The committee will be visiting every school and talking to the local administrators and reviewing the land plan, the land evaluation that was done a number of years ago, and talking about ideas that they have in their buildings for improvements. So maintaining our buildings and updating them to meet programmatic needs. So very much aligned with our strategic plan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Mr. Coughlin.
All right, community corner for this night. This month is National Hispanic Heritage Month. In 1968, President Johnson signed into law National Hispanic Heritage Week. In '88, President Reagan extended the commemorative week to a month, and now National Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated September 15th through October 15th every year. September 15th was chosen as a starting point because it's the anniversary of the start of independence of Hispanic countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, and Guatemala, who all finally became independent from Spain in 1821. The month recognizes the contributions and influences of Hispanic Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. This week is International Week of the Deaf, along with the International Day of Sign Languages, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is a unique opportunity to support the linguistic identity and cultural diversity of all deaf people and other sign language users. It was officially recognized in 2017 by the United Nations. Today is Business Women's Day, which was initially celebrated in 1983 when a joint congressional resolution was passed. This special day celebrates the contribution that women make in the business world. Found this one interesting. I know about this lady. One of the most successful female entrepreneurs in the world is Cher Wang. She made her own wealth by spending a lot of years manufacturing cell phones for other people. She used this knowledge and experience and the small amount of money she made in order to set up the company HTC. This is now a $1 billion company that operates a big chunk of the smartphone market. And last but not least, Mr. Kazmarsky took it away from me for a little bit, but Mawa Day. Some will say that this is the greatest day of the year. It's this Saturday again. Commodore Perry starts off at noon. Greatest day of the year. Starts with a parade at noon and culminates with fireworks around 9 p.m. So hopefully I'll see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can debate a lot of things, but not that this is the greatest day. Mr. Denise, do you have a
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
There are 6 policies and 1 regulation on tonight's agenda for the first reading, and 1 policy that's being abolished. Policy 8810, religious holidays, is being abolished because it's now addressed in policy 2270, religion in schools, and is therefore no longer necessary. Policy 2422, comprehensive health and physical education, is being revised to include requirements of 6 new statutes that address curriculum requirements related to the health and well-being of students and are listed in the New Jersey Department of Education's 2020 New Jersey Student Learning Standards, Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Introduction. Policies 6115.01 through 61.1503, federal awards / federal funds internal controls, can be taken together in our new policies that are mandated for schools that receive federal funds. Policy 6311, contracts for goods or services funded by federal grants, is being revised to include minor language changes regarding the search of disbarred or suspended vendors providing goods or services to a school district funded by a federal grant. And lastly, there's policy 8420, emergency and crisis situations, and regulation 8420.1, fire and fire drills, are being revised to include minor language changes required by updated statutes to the administrative code regarding school fire and security drills. Also, as the Board of Ed liaison to the Access for All, I attended their meeting on September 13th. They will have a booth set up at Mawa Day that's going to highlight their upcoming events.
Thanks, John. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. Board member remarks, additional comments on reports or other non-agenda items? Number 16, old business. Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes of the September 1st, 2021 Public Work Session Action Meeting? Ms. Conoco, seconded by Mr. Gaffney. Roll call, please.
Ms. Conoco,
Yes.
Dr. Morphy,
Abstain?
Dr. Park,
Yes.
Ms. Saccone,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes?
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Gallo,
Yes.
Mr. Kazmarsky.
Yes. Number 17, new business. Can I please get a motion to accept resolutions A through T? Dr. Morphy, seconded by Ms. Saccone. Mr. Leader?
Ms. Conoco,
Yes.
Dr. Morphy,
Yes?
Dr. Park,
Yes.
Ms. Saccone,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes?
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Gallo,
Yes.
and Mr. Kazmarsky.
Yes. Item 18, new business. Personnel, can I please get a motion to accept resolutions A through CC? Mr. Denise, seconded by Mr. Copeland.
Ms. Conoco,
Yes.
Dr. Morphy,
Yes?
Dr. Park,
Yes.
Ms. Saccone,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes, and thank you to all the volunteers that are listed on all the resolutions.
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Gallo,
Yes, and I want to just echo Brett's remarks about 18 dB, Michael Wong. We will all remember his presentation a number of years ago when he pitched in to help with the robotics program. He still has the courage, fortitude, and interest to do so, and we thank him.
And Mr. Kazmarsky?
Yes. All right, number 19, public questions or comment. Public participation at board meetings is in accordance with bylaw 0167. At this time, members of the public may ask questions or make a comment on educational issues or school matters of community interest. As a matter of fairness, you are asked to limit your questions to no more than one, and your remarks to no longer than 3 minutes. If you are here representing a group, please identify yourself, the group, and your position in the group. If you are here as an individual, please give us your name and address. This section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes. Can I please get a motion to open the meeting to the public? Mr. Gallo, seconded by Dr. Morthy. Okay, we are open to the public.
Hi, I'm Rachel, Mawa resident. I just have a question about the abolishing the religious holidays. Can you just explain what that means for the kids at school, or how that looks?
It's, it was redundant.
John, you can.
Sorry. The only reason why that was abolished because it's being addressed in another policy, so there was a redundancy.
Okay, so we can still talk about our religious holidays and
So,
Christmas.
so along the lines of general functioning of our district, nothing is changing.
Oh, okay.
The reason why it was abolished is because it was a duplicate.
Okay.
So it was absorbed into an existing policy, so that's why it was abolished.
Okay, thank you. It's just
No.
hard to hear. Thanks,
No,
appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Danielle Ryan, 22 Riverview Terrace, Mawa. First thing, I just want to ask, where can I get an unedited video of last meeting?
I'm not sure what you mean by
A video, the whole video, because there's a section of the meeting that was edited out.
that. I was unaware of that, so I'll ask Mr. Bleeker to look into that.
All right, I'm going to play because I have the clip where it's edited out. And I just want to, hopefully it gets picked up by the mic, because it's what I'm going to be speaking about. Can you hear it? Or no, hold on.
It's not
my
playing
earbuds
yet.
in.
Topic, different sides to various topics that were covered. The concern is not that there's different.
Okay, I'll just explain what it says. It's found at the 37-minute mark in the YouTube video, and it's when, sorry, I gotta be reading my speech.
Can I just ask that you step into the mic a little bit as well,
Sure.
just so people at home can hear as well?
Yep. So at last meeting, at the minute of the video was minute 37 on the YouTube video. I'm currently recording this due to the fact that that chunk of time was missing. Because it was posted, the part of the meeting that was removed was when the public, the people sitting here, were reprimanded for the behavior. Dr. DeToro, what you said was edited out, and you said at that moment that you were disheartened after the past 3 meetings due to disrespect. I'm improvising because I can't get the exact quote. Disrespect among people with differing views, and that COVID should not even be discussed right now. But the part that startled me most was that people clapping in support of one another was included in what you felt disheartened about. As I sat there at that meeting feeling completely disheartened due to the way I was lectured, I thought to myself, let me rewatch that part of the meeting in case I misunderstood what was said due to mask muffling. It's a muffling, I'm sorry. So whenever it was published, I went and I looked to the meeting to re-listen to that portion. I had hoped that I was wrong, but I was there, I was at the meeting, I know what I heard. But I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt and listen back. But I was robbed of that ability and opportunity and right because that part of the meeting was conveniently omitted. Speaking to members of the public like that has a chilling effect on our free speech. Chastising us as if we're misbehaving children, bullying us into a corner and silencing us. We're concerned parents, taxpayers, and citizens. In taking out that part of the meeting, you have rewritten the verbal history of that moment to keep the public blind on how we were scolded for expressing ourselves to our representatives. Not our leaders, our representatives. In addition to that, I felt dismissed by Vice Superintendent Fair when I pointed out the nonsensical travel restrictions being imposed on the members of the Mahwah public school system. I felt dismissed at that moment, but thought perhaps it was just the way I was feeling because speaking here is very intimidating. But I actually had a citizen reach out to me through messaging on Facebook, because I do list my name, and they told me that they were shocked at how I was dismissed and spoken down to. It was pointed out by a board member that after 7 days you could test back in rather than have to miss the 2 weeks of school. And here's yet another instance of subjecting our youth to unnecessary circumstances that we do not know the consequences of. I personally was tested for COVID while in active labor, having a baby, and that moment will forever stick in my mind as a defining moment of that day, which anyone who's had children might think is ludicrous, but that's how invasive it was to me. There are mental effects to that which I would not subject my child to unnecessarily, not to mention the fact that the test isn't even meant for healthy people getting 52 times a year if they're being given it weekly, which a lot of jobs are now requiring. So Superintendent, Vice Superintendent, I felt disheartened after last meeting due to the treatment from both of you. As I promised, I would not send my son to school if he was in a mask. I've taken my son out of school. Now I get to take my middle one out of school because of the preschools being affected. You are elected to represent the community's wishes, and it's become clear to me that instead we're just hiding behind these mandates. So I can promise you here and now that I will not be silenced. You may have disheartened me for a moment a few weeks ago, but then after reflection and seeing how you lied by having that part of the tape altered, you've emboldened me. I will continue to fight not just for my children, but for all the children of Mahwah. I hope to be a part of this district once my child can be free. If you stand for nothing, what will you fall for? Well, here I am standing for the voiceless. I want answers. Put your name to what you believe in. You were moments away from announcing if Mahwah would allow freedom of choice in our district in regards to masking, but instead you've hidden behind the mandate. I want answers, not the blank stare and the silencing response of thank you, which is what I got last week, or 3 weeks ago. You represent us, and the survey showed a majority of us wanted freedom of choice. Were you going to represent the people that voted you in, or were you going to go rogue and do what was easier, playing into the theatrics of what's going on? I want actual answers, not just a simple thank you.
I have plenty of answers, so let me start from the beginning. And I think I appreciate you bringing to my attention that it was edited because, to be quite honest with you, I stand by everything that I said in the last meeting. At the last meeting, I spoke very clearly and very respectfully to the whole group here, specific to the way that in which we are addressing each other. And what I stand by is the fact that there has been the last 4 meetings. Last meeting was great. The last 4 meetings was disrespectful statements, condescending statements, sarcasm, interruption, yelling from the crowd that creates a very contentious environment. Along the lines of me sharing with everyone that our kids are watching, and it's my hope that we can be respectful back and forth. I stand by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the tech team, who's in charge of the video, make sure that that minute or whatever is taken out, because that was never intentional, is placed back up there so everyone can hear exactly what I said. Along the lines of the applauding, again, I stand by that statement. I didn't say that people can't applaud each other. What I said was the behaviors of disrespectful statements, yelling from the crowd, interrupting, and then it's coupled with people clapping to reinforce that behavior, I do not think was appropriate. So along the lines of what I said, I still stand by that. Specific to the mask mandate, we've said in previous meetings, and I think it's worth repeating, we did put out a survey out to everyone. The community did speak. Unfortunately, with the timeline, the minute we put out the survey, I believe a week or 2 later, is when the Delta variant came out. And with that Delta variant came a lot of different protocols, policies, and mandates that we are expected to follow. I'm not hiding behind any mandate. So when the choice is given again, we will revisit that. But at this time, I'm not going against the government mandate. I'm very transparent, I'm very clear, and there's nothing that I'm hiding behind. We actually asked our lawyer, our district lawyer, what are the ramifications if a district goes against the mandate? And he went chapter and verse of all the things that would come down on the district. and I am not interested in looking into that any further. It was very clear to me, and if you noticed, all the districts in New Jersey are masked.
I know
Even
that.
the districts that said they were gonna go and unmask their children, quickly after the state jumped in, reversed their decision, and now they are masked.
I
So
understand
I
the mask.
appreciate the questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to share. At no point does anybody on this dais have any intention of disrespecting anybody. But what I can tell you is, when it gets to a place where we have answered the questions in a respectful fashion, and people are yelling from the crowd, it is an opportunity for us to say, thank you for your statement. So I can assure you that since I've been in the seat, all the questions that have come down the pike, I have addressed. And I'm not going to run away from any of them. And I'll continue to do that.
So what was the decision?
The decision for
Literally,
what?
it was like 2 days before you gave all the rest of, maybe not 2 days, very soon before we took the survey, Murphy comes out with his executive order. I understand all the districts are masked. There's a difference between being masked and making our voices heard, speaking to, writing letters to the governor, like I have, in representing our community. I understand you have to follow the mandate. You're not gonna go against it. I know everybody, and this is part of the problem, but everybody's doing it. But you can represent us and you can fight back. I'm not saying it's gonna necessarily change things, but you can let it be known to our leadership down in Trenton that our community, this one town, that's what our wishes were. I understand that, and with the clapping, I've been at all the meetings. I know what you're referring to with the disrespectful behavior, and I get that, and that's not okay. But clapping at the end of, it does take guts to come up here. Having that support, it felt nice being amongst people who share your values, share your beliefs. So disrespectful behavior, absolutely, I don't think that that's okay. I found it very convenient that little chunk is what's missing from the meeting, the whole meeting. And when I pulled up the meeting, I thought, it's not long enough. I knew right away that something was wrong, and I had to watch the entire thing instead of being able to fast forward to where I knew I wanted to listen. So I understand that the mask mandate is what it is, but when you came out with the all the different things that we were going to do, continue to do, social distancing, etc., the travel stuff, all that came out, and you neglected to say what the final decision was. I get that it might not matter to you, but it matters to me. That we're not talking about, it's just, oh, you can't do anything. You can do something. You can fight back. You can talk to Trenton. That's what, and you're not saying what MAWA was gonna do. We were days away from you releasing all the other things that we were gonna do. Social distancing, continue, washing surfaces that were touched often. All those things came out very shortly after Murphy made his mandate, and yet we won't acknowledge the elephant in the room of what was gonna happen. What was MAWA gonna do in regards to masking?
Hopefully at some point, and I know that we're just meeting each other, at some point we can change the narrative from there's an underlying motive, which there's not, to the way that the events took place is why there was no decision that was made. As I shared with you, when the survey came out, that's when everything started to change. Now, if the survey came out and the reports and the data came out, which you're absolutely right, the community, the majority of the community did share that they wanted the mask to be optional. But all during that time is when everything started to change. We were not committed to any decision before the mandate came out. So I just need I need to share with you that we weren't leaning towards, well, we're gonna keep them masked, or it's gonna be masking optional. We sent the survey out with the right intentions, that we wanted to use that as one of our points to guide our decision making. It was not the sole point, because as much as I respect and value what the community says, in all aspects of our educational process, we also need to take heed to what our medical professionals are saying that are guiding us as well. So yes, that would be coupled with that advice, but that would not be the sole provider. That being said, it's my hope when you're talking about it was conveniently edited out. And I don't want to belabor the point, I just want to share this with you. Now that I sat here and told you I stand by it, it's my hope that by the time you get home, you understand that was not intentional. I don't want anybody to edit anything that I say out, because I stand by everything I say. But along the lines of the clapping, it's my hope once it gets back in, you can go back and you'll see. At no point did I talk about clapping in general. It's clapping to reinforce the disrespectful behavior that I share. And that's really where that clapping stood.
Okay, I took it as all clapping, because I did say at the end of, when I spoke last week, or
You
3
did.
weeks ago, I did say, I don't think we can do that.
You're right, you're right. I didn't, and at that point, I did hear you say that last time. And I felt like it wasn't appropriate to engage, to provide clarification when you said don't clap.
Mhm.
I just felt like it was inappropriate to engage at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cohen?
Well, the last several meetings, at least one parent has come up to say that it's our job to go to Trenton and advocate for them. And if you look at the roles and responsibilities of a board member, that is not our job. You have to keep in mind that just as there is a contingent of parents that are anti-masking, there is just a strong contingent of parents that are in favor of masking. And it is not our job as board members to go to Trenton and advocate for one parent group over another. In fact, it would be unethical for us to do that. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I've been hearing that now at every meeting, that it's our job to go to Trenton and speak to the governor and advocate in favor of the parents who are against masking. It is not our job.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Linda.
Is it okay?
Good, absolutely.
Alison Theodoro, I'll write my address down if you want, I don't want to say it out loud. But just to speak to what Mr. Cohen just said, I don't think that parents are saying you should advocate for one side or another. I think what they're saying is, when you do have these conversations, is it made apparent to whoever the higher ups may be that you speak to, that this is what our community wants? There's a statistical study. You can present statistics without representing one side or another.
I'll just say from my own personal perspective, as a Mahwah resident, a parent of children in the district, as the president of the Board of Education, I speak to the Senator Holly Schepisi probably once or twice a week. And I tell her, what's going on in the community. We talk about the survey. I talk about my own personal opinions, because I don't speak on behalf of the board necessarily in that fashion. But the understanding of our local legislatures is clear from what the community wants. They're aware of that. It's more a matter of, it's coming from the governor's office.
No, I understand that, but
And I gotta be honest with you, letters have been written. Letters have been written by citizens, letters have been written by Board of Education around the state. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but he's got his own ideas of what he's doing, and his own health professionals in the state that are guiding him. And we're living under the executive orders and the mandates that he's put forth. That's From a personal perspective, I let my opinion be known as much as I can.
thank you, and you let the opinion of whatever, not opinion, but the statistics of what our district results would have been known to the powers that be for when their decision time comes to reevaluate the situation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Yulia Baikova. I'm director of Pinnacle Learning Center located on 109 West Romapo Avenue. And I'm here on behalf of all parents that keep calling us asking for the before and after school program. And I was trying to contact the office of superintendent for 3 years already on behalf of parents and asking to add stop for the bus, so the school bus. And I was always getting any answer, but not the one answer that was really reasonable for me and for parents to understand why it cannot be done. So I'm here now to ask you, because as you know, I don't know if you know, the George Washington School has a waiting list for the after school program. And parents keep contacting me, and I cannot provide the transportation right now, but I really want to help them. So I'm here to ask if you can add stop at Pinnacle Learning Center for the after-school program.
Good evening. Regarding the Pinnacle Learning Center and adding a stop there, our policy that we follow with transportation is that we transport from the home to the school, and at the end of the day, from the school back to the home. We don't provide transportation or have drop-off locations, especially for some of our youngest students, at locations where the parent is not there or where the home is not. So we have never in the past had transportation to private entities
Maybe
such
it's
as
time
yourselves.
to review the policy, I'm sorry.
And I'm just telling you the reason why you have, not received a positive answer, an answer where, that you want, is because of what our current policy is and what we've done in the past, what we're currently held to by our policy of transporting from the home to the school and from the school back to the home, not to any private,
Okay, so the special aid children, not on the policy, because special aid children can be transferred to the private childcare. So what's the difference between special aid and regular children? Maybe you review the policy, because there is a need in the community. So we have 8 children, what we are going to do with them. And I'm, as a private business, taking care of them, and I expect Board of Education to take care of them as well.
thank you. Again, we can certainly go back and look at it, but for right now.
Yeah, I would like to know when you will be able to review the policy and give me the answer.
I don't think we have a timeline at this point, but we've heard what you've had to say. It's the first time.
Okay,
we've
so
heard it.
you want me to come for the next meeting, or you want me
Yeah,
to
these
contact
are,
you?
these are open public meetings. You can come as many times as you like and speak at the microphone at each meeting.
Yeah. Thank you for welcoming me. I just there is an issue, and I would like to solve the issue, not just come into the meeting and speak again and again. I want to be heard. I want parents to be heard.
Understood. Thank you very much. You're being heard. And
Okay, I'm
you
leaving
decide.
without answer, and I will expect the answer from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Good evening. I'm Alice Aslan. I am, first of all, wanting to thank you, Dr. DeToro, for speaking with me before. I am one of the parents in need of childcare. We are new to the community. We just moved here recently. And I understand that this has been a very difficult year and some change. I work in healthcare. The subtleties are not lost on me. However, I want you to be aware and understand the difficulties that working parents are having right now in Mahwah. It's not just George Washington. Unfortunately, the after-school program that is run by the Wyckoff YMCA has not been able to meet the needs of working parents in the elementary schools. All of the programs are waitlisted, and they have been waitlisted since August. Unfortunately, for those of us new to the community, that means that we weren't able to either know the subtleties of the situation or be here to sign up early. And so we're left without childcare. I have been one of the parents desperately calling essentially every childcare program I can find to see if they could provide transportation, or if they had any ideas, or if anybody knows of a babysitter, or really anything that I could do other than essentially relying on a neighbor or a friend who kindly will help me out for the time being. I'd like for you to consider the policy, consider that if it is a very particular time right now where staffing is a problem for some of these centers, which is what I understand the Y is facing right now. But there are centers that have staff, and perhaps we can use this to our advantage to try to meet the needs of myself, and I know of at least, 7 other families on the wait list just at George Washington. I hope you can consider that perhaps a different center, not just the Y, could come then to the schoolhouse and have in-school care. If they have teachers available, perhaps that's something that could be addressed or considered. If, of course, these centers are open and able to do so. Transportation is always going to be an issue because we, the parents who are at work, can't unfortunately come and get the kids and move them to another safe place for them to be for those couple of hours for us until we're done working. This disproportionately affects people who both work in the household outside of the home. And I can't stress enough how unfortunately, this has not been just an issue post-COVID. I think it's exacerbated things for sure, like it has for so many other issues. But in speaking with parents and trying to get ideas and trying to get acquainted with the community, it sounds like the Y has been waitlisting parents, at least for the first few weeks as school starts, or potentially for an entire year. I know that at different schools, not at GW, that has been occurring for years previous to COVID. I know that you don't run the after-school program. I understand that, but the after-school program does happen in the schoolhouse. And again, I am so thankful that you reached out to me, Dr. DeToro. I understand that it's hard to find a solution, and we have a very immediate need, which is why we are so, frankly pushy to try to make sure that our children are safely cared for after school, not even discussing before school care at this point. If any of these thoughts or ideas, which I've had since our last conversation in our discussions in the community, are things that can be addressed, I really hope that you at least consider addressing them. We are, children of working parents are, frankly, the new normal, maybe not in Mahwah. I'm noticing that this is a different environment than I'm originally from, and that's really been a struggle. And frankly, I understand that everybody talks about this being a great place to raise a family and being family friendly, but it seems to me like it's really friendly to just one kind of family. And we're really struggling. It's not just myself. You can talk to other working parents, and you all are working parents. I look to you to help us come up with solutions.
Thank you for that. Just to give you a follow-up, I think we spoke the back end of last week. After our conversation, I spoke to Mr. Bleeker, who reached out to Sharon, who's the coordinator from Norway. At that time, you're absolutely right. There's a staffing shortage right now, and they're working within the parameters that have been set forth by their governing body along the lines of the ratio of students to teachers or students to supervisors, whatever they're termed as in the Y. We do have a posting that we have on our website for the YMCA. We're trying to get the word out to support them in their search for employees, so that is an active process for us. And so I believe late October they're going to reevaluate to see what the next step would be, but it's something that we have an active role in by putting it up on our website to get the word out to as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to close the meeting to the public? Mr. Gallo, seconded by Dr. Morthy. Can I get a motion to recess to executive session under Chapter 231 Sunshine Law, which authorizes public body to discuss personnel negotiations, legal matters, specifically personnel matters, confidential student matters, and legal update. Ms. Connick was seconded by Denise. We're going to go into executive close, and there'll be no action taken when we come out, and we're just going to close the meeting. So, good night, everyone. Hope to see you on Saturday.
Mr. Martinez, Mr. Fenders, you can close the meeting if you haven't already.